Hi, I'm Jean Lawrence. I lead the marketing and communications team in Nokia Cloud and Network Services. Thank you for joining us for this Nokia Core Talk. And I'm very pleased to welcome Andre Hassan, Director of Wireless Core Networks at Telus in Canada. So Andre, Telus has really moved well beyond traditional telecom, expanding into areas like health, agriculture, IT services, and more. So how do you see the market evolving over the next few years, and how does your broader service portfolio really shape your direction as a company?
Okay, Jean, thank you for that question. So telecom has been the foundation of how we've brought services to market to our customers. And we've spent a lot of time across mobile and fixed to really enable a highly robust and reliable network. What we're seeing, however, is a change in direction with regards to diversification. We spent a lot of time diversifying our portfolio at Telus. One of the values we have is our verticals, healthcare, agriculture, and IT, to really help to reach out in terms of relevance into the market. These domains demand trusted connectivity and data services, which we leverage from our telecom capabilities. There's an expectation for always on and highly reliable, robust networks when we're thinking about applications that are tied to healthcare and agriculture. Our underpinning strategy is really going beyond access and becoming a digital enabler.
Great, so you're really moving beyond connectivity and kind of up the value chain by using that strong foundation you have. Yes, good. So you operate a multi-vendor core network, as many companies do, with different suppliers involved in areas like core, orchestration, automation. And in particular, at Nokia, we're supporting Telus with functions in subscriber data management and policy. So tell me a little bit about how your team has approached building and maintaining this kind of multi-vendor setup, and how you plan to evolve your core network over time as these new requirements come in.
Sure. Yeah. So our network is multi-vendor by design. It adds some great flexibility, offers best-in-class performance and reliability, but it brings some additional complexity to that equation. In the case of Nokia, we leverage the subscriber data management component and policy, as you mentioned, which are really core platforms from an SDM perspective. We look at SDM as the brains of our mobility network. So it's got to be always available, always on. But when we think about building out the network, we really focus on ensuring that we have open interfaces. We're ensuring automation is key, and not just automation from an SDM perspective, but automation across the entire telecom stack. With a multi-vendor environment, it's very important that we leverage generic tools that can automate and create a workflow from an end-to-end perspective. So, in the case of SDM, we're obviously in the process of moving to a cloud native, which really adds a lot of greater flexibility for us.
Great, makes sense. So just to build on that a little bit, your journey to a more cloud-native architecture, that also includes deployments with public cloud. Right. What has your experience been so far in the cloud-native journey in terms of automation, which you touched on a moment ago, performance, operations, scalability, and how does all of that inform your longer-term network planning and thinking?
Sure. So cloud native brings some very important agility to our network planning and our network deployment, but it really needs strong lifecycle controls. We are leveraging public cloud a lot more to give us that flexibility in a couple of use cases. One from an edge perspective, but also elastic capacity. So when the network sometimes the network could grow from time to time, maybe special events and what have you. Having that elasticity and leveraging public cloud is really important. Another use case is around disaster recovery. We see that public cloud is a key enabler for enabling disaster recovery type use cases. Automation and observability has really helped to improve the ops and scaling of that environment. We're ultimately designing for portability, core functions, and being cloud agnostic.
It's all about flexibility and agility to adjust to
Absolutely,
whatever
yeah.
comes next.
Yeah.
Good. So you had mentioned automation a moment
Yeah.
ago, and running a big cloud-based network does demand a high degree of automation. And you've started using automation for things like setting up the network, testing, and some of your daily kind of operational tasks. What changes have you seen so far as a result of what you've done on the automation side, and where do you see that going next, particularly as it comes to using AI?
For sure. So automation is now embedded into how we deploy, test, and scale our network. We're still growing in this area. I would say we're probably a level 2 at this point in terms of our automation journey. AI really, where we're focused on AI is in a couple of areas. One, to really help us around anomaly detection. So from time to time, things in the network will go bump in the night. Really important that we're focused on early detection and predictive maintenance, especially across kind of distributed edge sites. The network is growing, and we're constantly distributing the network further and further. So having that anomaly detection is really key. The next step is really about tight loop integration with the network as it reacts in real time, like I said, but not just by script, but also by insight.
Yeah, so everyone's on this journey towards more autonomous
Yes,
networks.
yes, correct.
Exactly.
Yes.
So APIs are becoming a big part of how telecom service providers are interacting both with the internal teams on some of the operational sides of things, as well as externally with partners, with customers. What have you at Telus learned so far from your exposure APIs across the business, and how do you see telecom networks becoming more accessible and more programmable going forward using APIs?
Yeah, thanks. So we've been on a journey with API and exposing our network capabilities since as far back as 2007. We highly have seen the value of APIs as it relates to bringing capabilities to code instead of manually configuring everything. So internally, they really help us to accelerate integration and automation of running the network, for instance. Externally, they help to open doors for partners and developers to develop assets and services leveraging the network. In the future, we obviously want to evolve to fully and highly programmable networks with an element of service on demand.
Makes sense, yeah.
Jean, so from your perspective at Nokia, working across multiple global networks, how are you seeing operators approach API exposure and programmability? And with things like network as a code, and what are you seeing? What sort of progress are you seeing from the industry?
Yes, this is certainly a really important topic to our customers all around the world today on the service provider side and also to developers. And we're seeing a lot more demand for the northbound APIs, service providers wanting easy ways to expose their network capabilities to partners in real time in a highly automated fashion. Right. And this is moving now quickly beyond some of the trials and proof of concepts to more and more kind of commercial arrangements where the programmable interfaces are becoming core to what developers want to be able to do with the networks. And that's what we're aiming for in our network as code solution, making it very simple for developers to use these network features through easy to use APIs, easy to consume, easy developer portal. Yeah. And of course, as you mentioned, it helps our service provider customers open up new revenue streams and really be able to monetize the network. So I think it's the exciting new frontier in what we can do. You've been doing it for a long time, right. But the next level of 5G network capabilities, I think will continue opening a lot of doors. And I can't wait to see what kinds of applications the developers keep building for consumer and industrial and enterprise use cases. So I think it's an exciting future. So good. So any closing comments or reflections?
Yeah, I want to borrow something that Cal said at the keynote this morning. He said, keep the main thing the main thing. At Telus, it's the main thing for us is customer experience. And it is pivotal in everything we do. I want to express my thanks to Nokia for really being part of that journey and really helping us drive best-in-class customer experience. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We just did some research that showed that the #1 driver for autonomous networks for service providers around the world is a better customer experience. So that's really what it's all about, and we're delighted to be your partner on this journey. So good. Well, thank you so much for this conversation today, as well as for your partnership with Nokia. And I'm looking forward to continuing that. And folks, this concludes our Nokia Core Talk. Thanks very much for joining us and for your attention.